Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer is one of the most disturbing serial killers in modern American history. His crimes shocked the world, not only because of their brutality, but because of how long he went undetected, even when the signs were painfully clear. This is the story of Jeffrey Dahmer, the man known as the Milwaukee Cannibal. Early life, a troubled childhood. Jeffrey Dahmer was born on May 21, 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. From the outside, his family appeared normal. His father was a chemist, and his mother struggled with mental health issues. But inside the Dahmer household, emotional instability was common. As a child, Jeffrey was quiet, withdrawn, and socially awkward. He rarely made friends and often felt isolated. Teachers noticed his strange behavior. He was distant, expressionless, and emotionally detached. At an early age, Dahmer developed a disturbing fascination with dead animals. He collected roadkill, dissected carcasses, and preserved bones. While many dismissed this as childhood curiosity, it was the first warning sign of something far darker. By his teenage years, Dahmer had begun drinking heavily. Alcohol became his escape, numbing feelings of loneliness, rejection, and confusion about his identity. The first murder. In 1978, shortly after graduating high school, Dahmer committed his first murder. Stephen Hicks, an 18-year-old hitchhiker, accepted a ride from Dahmer to his home. What began as a seemingly innocent encounter turned deadly when Hicks tried to leave. Dahmer panicked, struck him with a dumbbell, and strangled him. Dahmer dismembered the body and buried the remains behind his family home. Instead of being caught, he got away with it. This single moment, escaping justice, would embolden him and mark the beginning of a killing spree that lasted over a decade. Years of escalation. For several years, Dahmer managed to avoid killing again, but his urges never disappeared. He was arrested multiple times for indecent exposure and disorderly conduct, yet these incidents were treated as minor offenses. No one looked deeper. In the mid-1980s, Dahmer's crimes escalated rapidly. He began targeting young men, often from marginalized communities. Many were black, gay, or struggling financially. He lured victims to his apartment with promises of money, alcohol, or photo modeling. Once inside, he drugged them, strangled them, and carried out acts too horrifying to imagine. Unspeakable crime. Dahmer didn't just kill. He dismembered bodies, kept skulls, preserved organs, and committed acts of necrophilia and cannibalism. He attempted crude experiments, trying to create living zombies by drilling into victims' skulls and injecting chemicals into their brains. His apartment became a place of unimaginable horror. Yet neighbors' complaints about foul smells were ignored or explained away as spoiled food. Perhaps the most heartbreaking moment came in 1991, when a 14-year-old boy, Konorak Synthesumphone, escaped Dahmer's apartment, naked and bleeding. Police were called, but instead of helping the child, officers believed Dahmer's lie that it was a lover's dispute. They escorted the boy back into Dahmer's apartment, where he was murdered shortly after. This moment remains one of the most devastating failures in law enforcement history. The arrest that ended it all. Jeffrey Dahmer was finally arrested on July 22, 1991, when a potential victim escaped and led police back to his apartment. Inside, officers discovered Polaroid photographs documenting dismembered bodies. What followed was even worse. Human heads in the refrigerator, body parts in containers, skulls, and acid-filled vats. The truth could no longer be hidden. Dahmer calmly confessed to 17 murders, showing little emotion as he described his crimes in chilling detail. Trial and sentencing. In 1992, Jeffrey Dahmer was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms in prison. Psychiatrists diagnosed him with multiple disorders, but the court ruled he was legally sane. He knew what he was doing, and he knew it was wrong. Families of the victims delivered emotional impact statements, confronting the man who had destroyed so many lives. Dahmer listened quietly, rarely reacting. Death in prison. On November 28, 1994, Jeffrey Dahmer was beaten to death by a fellow inmate while serving his sentence at Columbia Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. He was 34 years old. For many, his death brought closure. For others, it raised questions about justice, accountability, and whether the system failed long before his final arrest. A legacy of warning. The story of Jeffrey Dahmer is not just about evil. It's about missed warnings, systemic failures, and the cost of ignoring red flags. He wasn't a monster hiding in the shadows. He was a man who slipped through the cracks again and again because people didn't listen, didn't look closely, and didn't act in time. True crime stories like this are difficult to hear, but they remind us why vigilance, compassion, and accountability matter. Outro. Perfect for YouTube retention. If this story disturbed you, it should, because behind every headline are real victims, real families, and real lives that can never be replaced.